Hey guys, what's up? Thanks so much for joining me here today. First of all, I want to say thank you to Pixel Show. Thanks for inviting me over and letting me share my stories and this process video with you. Super excited to be here. I've actually been to Pixel Show in Brazil in 2017 and I had an amazing time. And yeah, it was just such a blast, meeting all of you guys face to face and speaking in front of such a big audience and so many nice people that I got to meet there and see your beautiful country. So it was an amazing experience and I'm just super happy to be here once again, even though this time I'm not physically in Brazil and we're just meeting online. Still awesome, and I'm very happy I got this opportunity. So nice to see you guys here. And in this video I'm going to share with you the entire illustration process of a t-shirt design which I made for a company which is called Ridge, which is a startup company here in Israel. By the way, I didn't introduce myself, so hi, I'm Pierre Kleinhouse. I'm an illustrator and designer and I'm based in Israel as well. So I guess I need to start with some basic information about this process video. So first of all, I'm using Photoshop. I've been using Photoshop for a long time and I feel like this is still my most comfortable program to use for illustration work. So the entire thing was done in Photoshop, and as you can see, I'm basically starting to create some of the bigger shapes, bigger elements in the illustration at this point. So I already have my sketch ready because I didn't record the sketch process. And so basically this was the initial sketch that I started working with, and after I got the approval from my client, of course. And the first step of my illustration process is usually just working with the pen tool and creating big geometric shapes. I usually like to work this way and keep everything nice and clean. And the fact that it's actually vector shapes is very helpful for me if I need to adjust different things and change things later. And this is how I prefer to work. But again, don't be confused by the vector shapes. This is definitely Photoshop that I'm using, because later on in the process, I usually add a lot of small details like lines and shadows and textures and stuff like that. And for that, I will use different brushes. And then I just find Illustrator not that comfortable using when you need to have all these different textures and brush work. So this is just some basic information about the way I prefer to work most of the time. I do use Illustrator from time to time. I mean, sometimes there's projects where you have to keep everything vector, like 100% vector. But if I can avoid it, and if I can work using Photoshop or any other program with brushes, basically, I mean, I can use Affinity Designer as well. I don't mind. But yeah, I prefer to work in a raster environment and have a lot of fun with textures and brushes and experiment and make my work a bit more expressive, I guess. So as you can see at the moment, I added a lot of different clouds, and there's lots of clouds in the illustration. And actually I've changed it as I kept on working on this illustration. I changed the clouds a few times. I changed the composition to be a little more vertical than it was in the sketch, because it just didn't work for me. I wasn't super happy about it. And I also felt like there were too many clouds. So at this moment, yeah, I just added all of the clouds just to see what it feels like and how is it working in terms of the balance between the wolf head and the clouds. And the reason I have so many clouds to begin with is because it's connected to the company, basically the startup company that I'm doing this t-shirt for. They basically have this very cool, I don't know how to explain it actually. It's like, I guess it's a very complicated code that makes their service just super fast. And I guess you just get all of your information and things like location and media and whatever. If you want to stream super fast, or if you want to have, I don't know, any other app on your phone or in your computer, and you're in a very far location in the world, I guess their service will make it faster, and everything is on the cloud. So using clouds was definitely an important thing to represent in this illustration, and I tried to make sure it's one of the most dominant elements in the illustration. And then, as you can see, there's also the wolf head, which obviously, again, connects with this idea of speed in a more metaphoric way, I guess. And some more smaller icons and smaller illustrations that are surrounding the head. And there it's mostly like, information and graphs and data and stuff like that. So that's just some explanation for what's happening in this illustration. What the hell was I thinking when I came up with this sketch? And actually, as I kept on working on it, I decided to add a globe underneath the head of the wolf to make it even more complex. And again, it connects with this idea of the fact that this service is actually working from any location on the world. So it has a very good connection to the company again. So as I kept on working on the illustration, I realized I can actually add this globe underneath the wolf head, and it's gonna be another just like bonus points in terms of the meaning behind the illustration. So these were just some changes that happened as I kept on working on the illustration. And I guess it's very common for me to change things as I go. I mean, I try to say to my clients most of the time that, I'll basically come up with an idea, with a sketch or a few different sketches, and then usually the clients will pick their favorite sketch. But I usually try to say that, keep in mind that this is just a sketch, and when I work on the final illustration, a lot of the time things will change, and this is just how I prefer to work. I mean, for me it's not like science, it's sometimes I need to discover things as I'm working, and as I develop the final illustration, things change, and I think it's totally fine. And if you feel like, sometimes you can't really stick with your initial sketch, I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's totally normal, it's totally okay, and you don't need to feel bad about it. As long as, if you make the changes, and as long as it makes the illustration better, and as long as you're still connected to your client's needs and the brief that you were talking about when you started the project. I mean, as long as, these things are still working and everything is connected to the brand, it's totally fine. And yeah, I guess, this is what I like about this process videos, and this is why I like recording my process, just to show and share the fact that, things are not perfect, and I make mistakes while working on illustration. And basically most of my process videos are, I'm just showing how I make mistakes and then try to fix stuff. And things are not perfect, this is the real world. And another example would be this mouth of the fox, which I initially made this super big smile on the fox face underneath the nose of the fox, which is not very realistic, but I thought it was fun. But then as I kept on working on it, I again felt like it wasn't really working for me. I just wasn't really happy with the face expression. It felt a bit too much fun and playful for the company that this illustration is for. So I ended up just removing the mouth, and ended up just with, just the nose of the fox, which is a bit more realistic. And it's not super serious, it's still playful and fun, but it's slightly less like crazy. I don't know, I just wasn't really happy with the mouth. So again, just another example of how things change as I work on the illustration. And for me, this is the best part. I hate coming up with new sketches. This is always very hard for me. And once I get the approval for the initial sketch, this is where the fun begins, and I start working and start making changes. And most of the time I'll discover that, I need to change some stuff, I need to add some other elements, and I just like this part of the process the most. So as you can see, the composition is still square, but I'm gonna change it soon. And I'm already, as you can see, I made some of the clouds a bit smaller in the composition, and I'm trying to figure out just a better way to make the composition work and just feel more dynamic and balanced, I guess. So as you can see, I'm also still already adding some smaller details, like the fur of the fox with just a free brush, just drawing by hand, with my tablet, and make it a bit more free and expressive and not as geometric as the initial shapes I made with the pen tool. So this part of the process is a bit more fun, just to draw with brushes, which feels more natural and more like actually drawing on a piece of paper or a canvas. So I'm just adding some of the smaller lines to represent the fur of the wolf. And by the way, this whole process took me a few hours. Actually, it took me something like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours of work. So this is not the actual speed that I'm working in. I mean, I'm much slower, obviously. So this is fast forward speed to make it a bit less boring for you guys. Just so you know, I'm not really that fast. And by the way, guys, if you're enjoying this type of process videos, just so you know, I actually opened up my own YouTube channel like about a year and a half ago, and I've been posting process videos pretty much like this one almost every week. At least I try to. I mean, I don't really make it every week, but there's lots of videos, lots of fun videos that you can check out. I'm gonna add a link to the video in case you wanna look that up and subscribe to my channel. And yeah, I'll be happy to see you there. So if you are watching this and then you are going to my channel, write me a comment or something. Say that you found me on this video of Pixel Show. I'll be super happy to see that you guys made it to my channel as well. So yeah, just in case you are interested in more process videos and talks about being a freelance illustrator, making it as an illustrator, working with clients, contracts, work process, finding new clients, all that stuff. This is the type of things I talk about in my YouTube channel, so check it out. Okay, so things are coming along pretty nice. I'm pretty happy at this point with the illustration, and I'm just adding more and more details, like the teeth of the wolf. And you can see I added some shadows on top of the teeth and on top of the eyes already. Now I'm working on the hairline on the wolf's face. And yeah, I wasn't really happy with it, even though it's pretty nice. I mean, it's pretty nice, but I decided to change the way I draw the hairline on the wolf's face. So yeah, this is already the second take on the way and this is the final way I decided to use for the hairlines on the wolf's face. I mean, I don't know, I just feel like this is a bit more organic and convincing. So sometimes you just need to try it out and see what works. I mean, this is not very realistic. This is more of a representation of the fur of the wolf on his head. So I'm just testing different ways I can work with the line work. And again, I'm not working with any like fancy brush or anything. This is a very simple brush, which is just you can find on your Photoshop. The default brushes, nothing special, just a regular line. And yeah, this is just how I prefer working, keeping it simple. And I use another brush for the grain, like the grain shadows and the grain highlights that you can see in this illustration. And again, this is another free brush that comes with your Photoshop. So in case you're interested in finding this grainy brush that I'm actually using right now for the cloud shadows, you can check it out on my YouTube channel. There's a video explaining you exactly how you can find it in your Photoshop. So it's really easy, and you can check it out if you want to. And yeah, I feel like this brush is very, very versatile, and I just love the texture that comes out of it. And this, I guess, became like something I'm a bit known for at the moment, just in terms of like the look and feel that my illustrations have nowadays. So yeah, I'm hooked to this brush, and I'm actually just using these two brushes for most of my illustrations. I'm keeping it simple, nothing fancy again, just two different brushes, and that's it basically. So now you can see I'm already changed the canvas to vertical format, and I'm still trying to find the best way to just make this composition more interesting, I guess. So I started off with all of these different lighting bolts all around, and I changed it, moved them around until I found something that worked better. Now I'm working on a satellite, which again connects with the company, what they're all about. And now I'm actually adding this globe that I've already mentioned before at the bottom of the illustration, underneath the head of the wolf. And this, I guess, this is where I actually felt like things are finally working, and I'm finally happy with the composition, which is a bit more vertical now. And this was like the missing piece I was looking for, basically, for the entire process. It took me a long time to come up with this idea, and we're already close to the finish line of this process video. But yeah, I wasn't happy with the composition up until now. So it's funny how sometimes the work process can be like that. But yeah, once I placed the globe underneath the fox, everything felt like it's in the right place, and I'm just working on the details, like the globe, adding all the different continents and islands and stuff, just to make it a bit more realistic, and adding shadows and lines on top of the globe to finish it off. So we're almost done, and this is actually a bit of a boring part, I guess. This is just like the part where I add all the tiny little details, very small stuff, so it's not that important, and I'm just gonna make it play a little bit faster than before. I hope you don't mind. But again, these are just small icons and stuff that are again connected to the idea and the company and all that stuff. So things like data, and there's an icon that represents the Kubernetics, which is something, again, like something boring with code that is connected to the company. And there's also location icons, and different graphs and stuff like that. And that's basically it. Just some final little tweaks here and there, and some more shadows and details, and we can basically wrap this illustration up. Okay, so this is the final illustration, and this is the initial sketch. By the way, you can just look for yourself and compare and see the difference. I think the main difference is the change in the composition, and the fact that I added the element of the globe underneath the wolf. But other than that, yeah, I pretty much was able to stick to the original sketch. And once the illustration was done and everything was ready, I actually made a bunch of mock-ups, just because I think that it's the best way to show your clients what the final result will actually look like. So they wanted it to be printed on t-shirts and hoodies, mainly hoodies basically. So I think, making these type of mock-ups just makes it so much easier for the client to see, what we ended up with, and they don't need to actually imagine, and they can actually see the final result in front of them with this very simple mock-up. So I really, really recommend you do it with your clients as well. Whenever you finish a project and it's going to be printed, or even if it's going to be completely digital and it's an app or like a website, you can still come up with interesting mock-ups that will just make it feel like the real thing. And I think it really makes a difference. So these are the mock-ups and the final illustration that I got an approval on. And I actually didn't saw the final result. I mean, they haven't printed yet, so I'm still looking forward to see the final hoodies and t-shirts once they'll print it and send it over. So that's all I have to share with you for the moment. I really hope this was interesting for you guys. And again, I wanted to say, thanks so much, Pixel Show, for inviting me over. I really, really appreciate it. So thanks so much for you guys for joining me here. And if you want to see more of my process videos and illustration work, check out my YouTube channel and my Instagram. I'll be super happy to see you on social media. Don't be shy. Feel free to send me a message on Instagram or YouTube. And if you have any questions about my process or anything else, again, feel free to reach me out. That's it. I really hope you enjoy this. Thanks so much. Bye, guys.